I'm sure I've told the story before of someone in my first church who came to me and said, I want to give a pot of money to the local hospital, but they were worried that they were doing it for themselves. And I said to him, is it a good thing to do? Is it a good thing to give this money to the hospital? And he said, yes. And I said, well, do it then. And I just find it useful to remove this sense of person from the thing. To consider an action based upon the value that action is in and of itself should be the guide by which you decide whether to do it or not. Not the question of, will I get anything out of it myself, or am I doing it because I'm wanting to build up my own ego? So we can think about a particular action and think, well, I'm doing it because of me. And to do something because of me is never a good idea, is never a good reason for doing anything. But to do it because it is good to do, or not, that's where the decision really lies. So you come back to speaking the truth to someone who doesn't want to hear it. We have to remove the idea of person from this, particularly the idea of me from this action. We're speaking a truth because it needs to be. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be heard? You know, that's really the issue, isn't it? Needs to be heard. Yeah.
And then you prepare yourself how you're packaging what you say.
Yes.
Carefully, isn't it?
Yes. That's right. I mean, look, one of the things we believe about the Bible is that the Bible is not plain, unadorned truth. It is truth packaged for us to receive it. Because if it were not, we could not receive it. We couldn't hear what it has to say. It has to be written in terms that we understand. It had to be written in terms the original receivers were able to understand. And that's why there's so many things about the Bible these days we struggle with, because we forget that principle, or we don't know that principle. So when we come to speaking the truth to someone, we must be prepared to package it. It must be heard,
yes.
Not merely said. It must be heard. That's the whole purpose of it. So I tend to look at a question like this, and I think my sense of responsibility to say the truth has to be put to one side, because that's more about me than it is about the person who needs to hear the truth. That's the way I process that question. And then the question becomes, how do I present that truth to that person in a way that they can hear it?
Very carefully has to be delivered.
And we may well miss the mark completely.
Yes.
It may be something that this person is just unable to hear. They're not in a place to be able to accept this in any way, shape or form. And,
do you still not? Like if they can't, they're not capable.
When it comes to judgments about whether they're capable or not capable of hearing it, the other thing is that, these are human judgments we're making, and they're the only judgments we can make. We don't have divine insight into every situation and every person's life and the details of their state of being. We only have what we can see to go on. So we do our best in terms of making that judgment call, whether we do speak or don't speak, how we offer it to them or not. But then we have to kind of let it go, don't we? We can't beat ourselves up about the fact that it hasn't been heard, because it might not be anything to do with us at all anyway.
Maybe later on they look back and they might take some of it, accept some of it, Not immediately, maybe.
Yeah.
But when something else happens to them or whatever, then they may go back to that advice.
That's right. And it's a journey, isn't it, Marika?
Yes.
That's the thing. It is a journey. And maybe we plant a seed in a person's life and they're able to then, at some point later, down the road access that truth in some way that they haven't been able to do so at first.